not really, I can talk to anybody, but I'm a little nervous about this today. I really thank you for inviting me here, and I'm really sorry that everybody's had to go through this, and this is the way we had to meet. But I'd like to share my story. Gordon and I met in 1979. I was 22 years old. I worked for a forklift company in Oakland, California, and Gordon worked for Sealand Services. And we were both in parts department. And my maiden name was McLean. And all the guys that I work with, they used to call me Wacko Macko, because that's pretty much how I am. So when I was introduced to Gordon, I was introduced to him as Wacko, and he was Gordy. So for 9 years, he would call up for parts almost every day, and he would go Wacko, and I would go Gordy, and we've both been through marriages and divorces, and I don't believe in mixing business with pleasure. So luckily, my company transferred me. So I said, I'm gonna give him a call. So I called him and asked him if he would like to go have a drink. Well, we did. And 5 years later, we were married. We were married on July 17th. So I don't know if you read on the profile that I said 7/17. My birthday was January 17th, Gordon's was October 17th. So we got married on July 17th. Every time we saw 7/17, we'd go, oh babe, it's 7/17, and we'd give each other a kiss. This went on up until the morning of his birthday, October 17th, 2011. He passed away October 18th, the day after his birthday. I would tease him and say, don't you dare die on me on the 17th. I said, you can go the 16th. I said, but don't you dare die on me on the 17th. He goes, I'll try my best not to, babe. Well, he didn't. He was determined not to die on the 17th. But it was very hard. We had a lovely family. Gordon had 2 daughters. We never had our own children, and we had 5 grandchildren. Well, actually, we had 4. We had a little girl born about a month and a half after Gordon passed. We did an awful lot together. We traveled, we camped a lot. We're a very, very loving family. And then one day, Gordon just wasn't feeling very well. He was having a hard time breathing, lost energy, loved golfing. One morning he was golfing and he couldn't even make it up a hill. I said, well, you know what, baby, you better go to the doctor. So the Monday after Christmas in 2009, Gordon went to the doctor. And actually that morning he had fallen on the golf course, coughing so badly. So he went to the doctor. The doctor listened to his chest and said, you need to go, to the doctor and get your, get x-rayed. Well, he did. And his lung was full of fluid. They weren't quite sure exactly what it was, but in the area where we lived, there was a lot of Johns Mansfield, W.R. Grace. There are quite a few companies that had asbestos. And with Gordon also working in the parts department as a parts manager and the maintenance shop right behind him, he breathed in a lot of dust and asbestos fibers. And not knowing, what was going to happen, there's no warnings or anything in any of the boxes or anything that he opened. But the doctors had a sneaking suspicion that it may have been mesothelioma. Well, it was. On January 8th, 2009, we went to the doctors and we were told that Gordon had mesothelioma and that he had 6 months to a year to live. My life just stopped right then and there. I was like, what? Didn't really understand exactly what it was. But reading up on it during the time when Gordon was in the hospital, I knew a little bit more about what was going on than he did. So I said, well, what do we do? And the doctor said, we can do chemo. So Gordon had 6 sessions of cisplatin and Alimta. First couple sessions were fine. And then as he went more, it was taking him longer and longer to recuperate, but he was doing okay. And during that time, we traveled. Gordon's first chemo was January 21st. He had it for 2 days. Valentine's, we were in Kauai. And he's doing well. So during all the time, during his chemos, we did a lot. We renewed our vows on July 17th, 2010, which was our 17th anniversary. So we renewed our vows on July 17th at 1700 to celebrate our 17th anniversary. And it was lovely. And then in August, our whole family came to Maui. We came a few times. We also came in April. Well, we went back again in Maui in July of 2011, and then we went with our youngest stepdaughter and her 2 boys and her husband to Maui in April. May, we went to St. Thomas. July, we went back to Maui with our older daughter and her two kids at the time, not knowing that she was pregnant. We were told that when we were there. And had a lovely time. And then Gordon said, babe, I can't do this anymore. He says, I just can't do this anymore. I said, okay. So we went back home, and Gordon had, before this, he also had Gymzar, I think is how you call it, so you are familiar with it, and the cisplatin. And that helped a little bit, subsided a little, and then we gone to a wedding and came home, and Gordon was taking his shirt off and had this big lump on his side. I'm like, wow, what's this? Well, Gordon also had to have, he was drained, and they put talc powder in him. Well, through that hole where they drained him, the cancer was coming through. So we went back to the doctor, more CAT scans, and it wasn't good. He also was starting to get an esophagus. So they started doing radiation. Well, the radiation, chemo, and everything put him in the hospital quite often, but I don't know if you can see, he was even smiling there. Whenever I took his picture, people would say they always knew when it was me, because they could tell he always had a sparkle in his eye or a smile on his face. And he was pretty sick right there. And the doctors told us, he goes, okay, I think it's time that we bring hospice in. So again, I said, don't you dare die on me on the 17th, babe, because I won't, honey, because I'll do my best not to. Well, September, we went into San Francisco to see the doctor, and the doctor said it's time to bring hospice in. So 3 weeks later, Gordon passed, and I thought I was going to lose him on the 16th. On the 17th, it was his birthday, and I noticed it was 7/17. I go, oh my God, babe, it's your birthday, and it's 7/17, and I love you. And he mumbled, I love you too. And that was the last thing I ever heard from him. And then the next morning, I got up early to give him his medicine, and I laid back down in bed with him. And I told him, babe, it's the 18th. You passed your birthday. And if you're ready to go, I said, you can go, and I'll be okay. I lied. Boy, did I lie. I knew I was not going to be okay, but I knew he had to go. He waited so long to make sure that it was not going to pass on the 17th. So he passed on the 16th, the day after his 16th birthday. It was horrible. The family fell apart. This disease just does so much to you. You know, it just destroys your family. And I pretty much lost the family for quite a while. This picture actually was the day, that's January 8th, 2010. That was like a half an hour after we had left the doctor's office to find out that my husband was going to die 6 months to a year later. But he lasted 21 months. He was determined. We did a lot to keep him busy. And because of all the stress and heartache and family, I said, I can't stay here in California anymore. We went to Hawaii quite often, and I went an awful lot after he passed away. That was my happy place. I met a lot of people there, and I said, you know what? I need to go. So I packed up a 40-foot container, 3 animals, 3 vehicles, and moved to Maui. And since then, which you can see, I was a little chunky monkey over there. I've lost about 40 pounds. I started doing yoga, eating right, and meeting some wonderful people to where I'm finally starting to heal. You never really heal completely, but when you have people like you know that you're all in the same situation that we are. Like people say, oh, I'm so sorry, I understand. No, you don't understand. You don't understand what this does to you, your family, your friends, and strangers who you don't even know and who you meet like this. We all know what this is like. And it's heartache. It's just a heartache, and it should be banned. There's no reason why this should still be here. It just destroys so much. But I know Gordon is with me all the time. I have him actually here with me, and I feel him all the time. So I know our loved ones are here with all of us, and just remember that you're not alone, and hopefully someday it will be banned everywhere, and none of us will ever have to go through this again. I could go on more and more, but I just thank everybody for, listening to me. And again, I am so, so sorry that we all have to go through this. And I have an envelope on my table that I forgot to bring up here that I wanted to give ADAO a check for $1,500, and hoping that will help a little bit with something. I thank you very much.